You won't believe what happened when an overzealous HOA officer decided to wander a little too far onto our property. It all started on a quiet afternoon when my grandpa was out back, tending to the barn. That's when this guy, let's call him the HOA cop, showed up unannounced, clipboard in hand, acting like he owned the place. Now, our barn sits well outside the neighborhood's limits, but that didn't stop him from marching right in like he was on some kind of mission. Grandpa saw him heading toward the barn and instantly knew something wasn't right. This wasn't a friendly neighborly check-in. No knock, no permission, just full-on trespassing. And here's the kicker. Inside that barn was our ram, Big Red. If you know anything about rams, especially Big Red, you'd know he doesn't take kindly to strangers. But Grandpa, oh, he kept his cool. Didn't yell, didn't threaten. He just smiled, turned the key, and locked the door right behind the guy. That's when things took a wild turn. You could hear the thudding hooves and nervous muttering from the other side. We were all standing outside wondering, should we open the door, or let the HOA guy figure it out himself? Trust me, you're going to want to hear what happened next. So here's some backstory before we get to what happened inside that barn. Our property sits on the edge of a neighborhood with an HOA that's, let's just say, a little too involved. We had run-ins before, mostly about silly things like the color of our mailbox or how tall the grass got after a rainy week. But this time felt different. This guy wasn't just patrolling the sidewalk. He had actually walked past the fence, through our backyard, and straight into the barn like he was inspecting a shed he paid for. Now, Grandpa's lived on this land for over 40 years. He's tough, quiet, and doesn't mess around with nonsense. He knows every inch of that barn, where the old tractor's parked, where the feed is stacked, and especially where Big Red hangs out. The ram's been in the family for years. He's stubborn, territorial, and won't back down from a challenge. And trust me, he knows who belongs and who doesn't. Grandpa didn't say much when he saw that guy walk in. He just gave us that look, the one that means, watch this asterisk, then click, the doors shut, and we all held our breath. We couldn't see what was going on inside, but we sure could hear it. Heavy footsteps, some shuffling, then silence. And that silence, that's what got us nervous. We stood there, not saying a word, just listening. You could hear slow movements at first, like someone trying to quietly find their way in the dark. Then came the thud. Not a loud crash, just a sudden heavy sound like someone stumbling into a feed bin. We glanced at each other, trying to figure out if we should step in or let this play out. Grandpa, arms crossed, didn't flinch. He just watched the barn door like he knew exactly what was going down in there. The thing is, this wasn't just about a guy crossing a line. It was about the bigger picture, how the HOA had been tightening their grip lately. They'd been pushing boundaries, showing up with cameras, nitpicking everything. One neighbor got fined for hanging laundry on a line. Another got a warning for parking their trailer in their own driveway. Folks were getting fed up, but nobody had dared to push back like this, until Grandpa locked the HOA cop in the barn with a 200-pound ram. Meanwhile, inside the barn, more sounds started up. A few loud bleats from Big Red, the kind he makes when he's eyeing someone down. Then a voice, muffled, maybe calling out, maybe just trying to reason with the animal. Either way, it wasn't working. And still, Grandpa stood there, calm, waiting, like this was far from over. We were about 5 minutes into the silence when things really started to shift. The barn creaked a little, then came the sound of something, or someone, scrambling. You could hear boots sliding across hay, a metal bucket clanging, and then Big Red let out this deep, angry snort that echoed through the walls. That's when we knew that HOA cop wasn't just standing still anymore, he was moving and fast. Grandpa still didn't move a muscle. He just leaned against the fence, eyes locked on the barn like he could see straight through the walls. My cousin whispered, "Should we check on him?" Grandpa raised one hand slightly and said, "He came in on his own." That was his way of saying, Asterisk, let the lesson teach itself asterisk. At that point, we weren't even sure what the guy was looking for when he trespassed. Was he trying to catch us breaking some imaginary HOA rule? Was he hoping to find something he could report? Whatever his reason, he clearly didn't count on meeting Big Red or getting locked in with him. The sound of wood shifting and tools falling over inside made us all freeze. The tension was so thick, you could feel it in your chest. Then came the loudest noise yet, like someone had tripped and knocked over the feed trough. Big Red let out a bellow, and this time the guy asterisk screamed asterisk. That scream, it wasn't just panic. It was the kind of sound that made your gut tighten. We all stepped in closer to the barn, instincts kicking in, but Grandpa held up his hand again. Wait, he said, eyes still steady. He wasn't being cruel. He just knew exactly how Big Red operated. That round didn't charge unless he felt threatened. And judging by the sounds coming from inside, that HOA cop was making a lot of sudden moves. But then, just as we thought the situation had peaked, the second twist hit. From down the road, we saw a white SUV pull up, official-looking, logo on the side. Another HOA vehicle. Someone must have been tracking the first guy, maybe a check-in gone wrong. A woman stepped out, holding a clipboard and a phone, eyes scanning the property like she was ready to file 10 reports before lunch. She didn't see us at first, just walked straight toward the barn like she owned the place too. Grandpa turned, calm but firm. You might want to wait, he said. She paused, narrowed her eyes, and asked, is that screaming coming from inside asterisk your asterisk structure? The rest of us just stood there. No one answered. The noise from inside picked up again, hooves thudding, metal clanking, and then another yell. The look on her face shifted from annoyed to alarmed, and for the first time she hesitated. The second HOA officer stood frozen for a moment, clearly unsure what she'd just walked into. The screaming inside had stopped, but that didn't make things feel any calmer. It was the kind of quiet that made your heart race even faster. Then, with a loud clunk, the barn door flew open from the inside, and there he was, that HOA cop, wide-eyed, covered in hay, one boot missing, and a smear of something that looked suspiciously like goat feed across his shirt. Big Red stood just a few feet behind him, puffed up like a prizefighter who'd just defended his title. The guy stumbled out, practically falling to his knees in the dirt. He looked around, saw all of us standing there, and then locked eyes with Grandpa. For a second, no one said a word. Then the guy muttered, "There's something wrong with that animal." Grandpa just raised an eyebrow and said, "You mean the one you weren't supposed to meet?" The second officer quickly stepped in, trying to regain control. She helped him to his feet and started rambling about property lines, legal gray areas, and how this wasn't the end of it. But here's the twist. Turns out, Grandpa had installed a new wildlife camera just days before. It caught the whole thing, the trespassing, the sneaking, even the moment the barn door shut. And that footage, let's just say it ended up somewhere the HOA didn't expect. In the days that followed, the HOA went quiet, real quiet. No surprise inspections, no surprise visits. Whatever plan they had got shut down fast after Grandpa sent a polite email with the wildlife cam footage attached. No threats, no drama, just the facts. They trespassed, and they got a little too familiar with farm life. Word spread through the neighborhood quicker than wildfire. Folks started stopping by, asking what really happened, and Grandpa just gave his usual shrug and said, "Guess the barn taught him more than I could." The HOA never officially apologized, but we noticed they backed off. No more nitpicking, no more wandering into places they didn't belong. As for Big Red, he got a new salt lick and a reputation. Now even the mailman gives the barn a little extra space. The whole thing reminded us why boundaries matter, on maps, on properties, and in life. Just because someone holds a clipboard doesn't mean they can cross lines they're not invited past. And sometimes the best teacher isn't a person, it's a stubborn old ram who knows when someone's out of place. Thanks for sticking around for the story. Don't forget to like, comment, and share if Big Red earned your respect.